Welcome everybody from the Sparx Systems YouTube channel. It's great to have you all here today. We're going to continue looking at our urban parking system repository that's been developed and designed in Enterprise Architect. And we're looking at ArchMate at the moment. And today we're going to look at our technology usage viewpoint. So welcome Stephen, great to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about the technology usage viewpoint in ArchMate in Enterprise Architect?
Thanks for the introduction, Scott, and I'd be delighted to talk about this topic. So this video is about the technology usage viewpoint, and that is one of the viewpoints that is defined in the ArchMate specification. Remember, ArchMate is the de facto language and framework for working with enterprise architectures, both at a business and strategy level and at a technology application information level. So let's get started. I, as always, like to set my perspective that focuses the tool onto what I'm working on at the moment. I've been working on some business process simulation using the BP Sim engine this morning, and I'm going to change my focus now to enterprise architecture. So here's enterprise architecture there. These ones are the perspective sets, and I'm going to choose ArchMate as the perspective. I select that, the tool changes its focus to be on ArchMate, and I can open this, expand this item out here, and you can see that we have a number of different viewpoints that are listed here. I'm going to click on the technology usage viewpoint. You can see that there. We're expecting to see some applications, some technology services, some nodes or technology nodes, and also some system software. The documentation there will help you get started with this, and you can directly create that model as a starter model into your project browser by clicking on the Create Model button there. But as always, Scott, I like to do things from first principles, but I encourage people to return to this page and get the productivity gains that you'll get from using the existing patterns. And those patterns are available pretty much every technology, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them, probably thousands of them actually. So let's close the builder page. Let's get started. We need to find a location in the project browser. Let's open up the enterprise node there, and you can see here we've got business architecture, application architecture. Let's create another node. Don't be frightened of this. It's your repository. You can set it up the way that you want. I'm going to click on that and say technology architecture and create that package. I don't want a diagram at that level, and I can use the icons here, the little down arrow and up arrow, to move this one down. Technologies logically below business and application architecture. And I've got that there. I now need to create a viewpoint. If we look in these other packages, you see that we already have done a number of other viewpoints for this business architecture. They're all there underneath the that business architecture node. We've got motivation viewpoint, and you can move these around yourself if you want to as well using that little arrow key. But we need to create one here in the technology architecture. So let's create another package there, and we're going to create the viewpoint, the technology usage viewpoint. So having created that package, we're now in a place that we can create a diagram and start work. So we can use the icon, the new diagram icon in the browser toolbar, click on that item, and we get a dialog box up here, or the builder page coming up in the canvas, and we can start looking at the kind of things that we want to model. So let's go to technology there, and we can see that there's a technology usage viewpoint there. So I would encourage you to select this. You can just select a technology diagram, but what this does here by selecting these children is that you're able to get just the elements that are required for the particular viewpoint. So I'm going to go create that diagram, and you'll see now that the toolboxes have been presented to us just with the elements that we need for this one. And you can see down here in the technology usage there, we've got applications and other elements that we can use. So let's make a start at the application level. It's easier to work down, and this whole viewpoint is about how technology supports the applications, which in turn, of course, are supporting the business, which in turn, of course, are supporting motivation and strategy. So ArchMate ends up, when we have all these viewpoints filled out, it tells a story, creates a narrative right up from the drivers that are driving a particular project or initiative, enterprise, right down to the technology that is supporting that. So we'll create a application component there, and we'll put that one in, and let's call it parking management. So that must be some, management. That's some application that's doing that work of the parking management. So as always, Scott, I like to put in some notes into these elements as I'm working along. So I'll do that there now, and those notes are available for people to look at and understand where we're going. So the other thing I need to do really is to put in some services, so technology services. So I'm going to pick a service there from the behavioral toolbox page, drop that in, and I'm going to call it a database service.
What are some other examples of technology services that you might use?
Oh, look, there's a whole range of them, Scott. In this particular case, there might be API gateways that you might have. So, a service that's dealing with the gateways. You might have, message queuing, things like that. Let's drop a couple of those in actually, so you can see, what they're about, and that might make it easier for people to understand. I'm going to put some notes in for this one, and let's now put in a couple of other ones. So we'll put in an API gateway service, and we'll just drop that into the canvas there, and we want a technology service, and it's an API gateway service. So don't be frightened of these if you're from the business or application world and you're not down at the technology layer. No harm. Not everything on the diagram is meant for everyone, but it helps people connect up between their world, either up or down in the chain of elements and the way that they're connected. So the API gateway service manages the API traffic, serving as the entry point for external systems and application integration. It handles request routing, composition, and protocols translation while providing authentication, monitoring, and rate limiting. So lots of things there. Let's put in a piece of technology now, which was going to be a node. So let's put that in, and we'll make a generic one here of a node, and we'll put that in there, and we'll call it the cloud infrastructure. So this is quite general, but you could have a more specific piece of cloud infrastructure or cloud resource there. And, don't forget that you can relate these models that you've got to other models in your repository. For example, you can relate them to AWS, like Amazon Web Services, or Azure or Google Services as well, and then finally see how all this is working together. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I want to put something inside this box here, which is a piece of system software. So I'm not going to connect them right at the moment. I'll connect these in a minute. You'll see how that works. And I'm going to create this one as a piece of system software. And you can see there's an element on the toolbox for that. We'll drop that inside that one, give it a name, and we'll make that a little bit smaller. You can see that fits inside that node. So the system software is running inside that node. We'll put some notes on for that element as well. And the container orchestration software manages deployment, scaling, and operations of containerized parking applications. So quite general there. Let's put in a realization, starting our story now between this one and the database service. So that piece of technology is going to realize that one. And now let's put in a relationship between our application and the service. So we'll look at the available relationships, and the one I'm going to use is serving. So you could use a number of other ones there, including the general association. So that is the beginning of our story. And remember, I can use all these alignment features to get this aligned. I could align these all up with the layout features, but better to wait until you finish the diagram to spend too much time doing that. We can just tidy up that connector there. So Scott, I'm going to get you, they're the main elements on this diagram or this viewpoint. I'm going to get you to perform some of your time travel magic.
Welcome back, everybody. We've done a little bit of editing magic, and we've whiled away the time, and we have our completed diagram. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about the diagram and what message is it trying to communicate to the audience?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Glad to be back. You can see we have added a number of different elements to the diagram, including starting from the top here, we've got our applications, our application components, and they're related to our technology services. And you can see again, we've gone in a different layer there. We've gone between the application layer and the technology layer, and that's indicated by the different colors of the elements there. Going further down in the technology layer, we've got our nodes, and these could represent anything quite specific or something quite general like the cloud infrastructure. So people that are in the audience will want to be able to create diagrams at different levels, either for a particular piece of architecture, you want to go down into more deeply into something, or you want to do something more generally like we've done here in this diagram. The other thing we've got, of course, is our system software there. So we've got that, and all of those elements are positioned inside those nodes. You don't have to do that. I could have related those outside, but I like to sit them inside, and you can see that they're inside the node. So the other thing is you can see that there are lots of lines up here that are joining between the technology service that's supporting multiple applications. And let's have a look at how we can look at that a bit with a bit more ease. So I'm going to drop a legend on here, and just if people aren't familiar with legends, please go and have a look at our legends video, and we'll make you understand how these dynamic legends work. So the legends dynamically color things on the diagram. In this case, we've got a connector legend. So ArchMate's using its own colors, and I prefer not to interfere with their color scheme. So I'm going to drag this legend on, and you can see now that the diagram has changed the connector colors, and you can see from that legend that the realization ones are in that purple color, and we've got the serving ones in that light pink. It's got all those lines are crossing over there. It can be a little bit difficult to understand them. In what we can do is we can use some of the things on the layout ribbon and the helper panel here, and I can say select presentation there and select show direction. Let's have a look when I select an element now. You can see just the lines colored that are the outgoing and incoming lines on this element. So the different colors, the red and the green are representing outgoing and incoming connectors, and that makes it very easy to see which lines are which. And if I select another element, then you can see those lines as well.
So if you're doing a presentation in a meeting, you could really break it down and show those individual flows and make people understand how things flow through the diagram.
Yeah, exactly, Scott. And even when you're working by yourself, there might be a technology architect working with this. It's a very handy thing to turn on and be able to do it. But you're right, in presentations, it's particularly useful. So there are other things that you can put on this diagram. You can see that there's a whole range of things in the toolbox there. So it's up to a particular user, a particular team, a particular modeler, and also an initiative or project to decide, exactly what kind of things that you want to have on the diagram. We have the patterns that we looked at before. So, going back to those and just refreshing your memory about those, we have these ones here, and we've got, technology usage viewpoint. But you could actually create your own patterns as well for your organization and say, every time someone wants to create a technology usage viewpoint, these are the things that we want on that diagram. So lots of facilities in the tool. Remember, my friend here, the inline specification view, I can click on that and I can see that these elements are all been named, and also they've got the
nice detailed notes.
Yeah, and you can see here the nesting has been honoured here, the on-premise data center. I can click on that and then click on the database system. So I can see immediately in this view that these things available. So that's very useful, Scott. And remember, if you're looking for anything, like if I have this closed, I can go on hitting Control F and go into Find, and you can look for something like computing and see if I can find that item there. And you can see it's in user devices, cloud infrastructure, yep. And I can simply right mouse click on that and say find in all diagrams, and it opens up the diagram and selects the element. And you can see in the notes that word computing is in there, and that goes with any diagram. And if you're not familiar with that facility, we have a video that we've done on finding things in the model. So that would be a good one to go back and have a look at if you're not familiar with the great productivity gain that you'll get by using the Find in Project feature there. So that's it for
make sure things are just a few clicks away.
Exactly, Scott. So that's it for this technology diagram. We will be doing some other technology diagram viewpoints in future videos, and I encourage you to practice on your own repositories and see if you can use this viewpoint to span that bridge or that gap between the application level, the components and the interfaces, down into the technology level that supports them.
Thanks, Stephen. That's been fantastic, and it's great to see how easy it all comes together. As always, our audience knows what to do. If you've liked or enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to Sparx Systems YouTube channel. And if you have any questions about technology usage viewpoint, you can reach out to Stephen using his credentials listed in the video description below. Thanks once again, Stephen. Always enjoy your content, and look forward to more videos in the future.
Always a pleasure, Scott. And remember, we have only just scratched the surface of the tool's potential.